Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ted here with Bodies and Wicks, with another technical analysis as quick as I can, or at least as quick as I can to show you what I think will be happening with the next one that's coming up, which is Cardano. If you don't know what I do, I am a smart money theorist. I do not believe in anything retail theory has to tell you, which means I do not believe in trend lines. I don't believe in channels. I don't believe in what are those things called? I don't even know what to call them anymore because I don't even pay attention to them. You know, the X, Y, B, C, D things. These things, where you click them and you make stuff out of them. Hold on, let's see if I can. Harmonics, that's what they're called. I don't believe in harmonics. All right, so all that stuff is just made up fairy tale stuff to me. What price tries to do, and what price will always do, will be to try to find liquidity and to balance itself. All right, that's the only thing price tries to do, and it also runs by an algorithm. That's basically the basic idea behind smart money. Because there are the big guys that have the big money, as you've seen here lately, that have pushed the guys with the small money out. Why? So they can buy it up cheaper and then make the poorer people poor. That's how the game is played, right? So if and there's a lot of tokens and new things out there that aren't even controlled by smart money yet. So those are the ones, probably the ones to try to get into. I like to try to talk about the top 10, top 20 coins, even more than that. Probably the top. I don't know. They're probably on a lot of the coins, but I try to talk about the ones that have meaning, the ones that we're probably all invested in. So Cardano is the next one up. I've already done one on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'll probably get to more like BNB and what else? Probably some Polkadot, maybe some Litecoin, some Ripple. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe I'll get her to some smaller coins like maybe Raven Coin or Hydra, or who knows? Maybe synthetics. We'll figure it out. But let's get on with Cardano, shall we? But actually, if you like that stuff, if you like what you think I'm going to be doing is going to be helpful to you, please do something and smash that like button and subscribe, please. That would mean the world to me. Hopefully you will be doing that by the end of this video. So let's go ahead and head on over to the chart. So this is the monthly chart. Yes, I start with the monthly on Cardano because it is going to give us the outline of basically everything that we need to know. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and take myself off. Come on now, what are you doing here? Take myself. There we go. And it's not letting me do it. I was trying to take myself off of the picture, but it's not letting me for some reason take myself out of the picture. So I'm gonna have to use this part a lot instead. So hang on tight with me. All right. So right now what we have is what is called a fair value gap in between this month right here. So in February is when we kind of had the explosion. Luckily for me, that's when I first started investing on Cardano, toward the lower half. So that's about my only fear, is that the only thing about whenever you have fair value gaps like that is you got to worry about price balancing, right? Because that's what price wants to do. It wants to balance. So when it wants to balance, you got to think about it coming back into this area here. And that's why I drew this line here. This is about halfway through that area. So if it was to come about halfway through, maybe even a little bit further through, and then bounce out, that would be, I would think, completely balanced for Cardano. So that's what is the only thing that worries me about Cardano right now, is that we could see it get a lot lower, as low, maybe as back as, maybe 6 cents or so. but I would think that would be only temporary. I don't think that would be a pull down into even something further. Even this, there's another fair value gap down here. I don't think it's going to get down here. That's why it wasn't a worry to me. So now that we've got that one out, let's go to the weekly. I think with the weekly, what I had displayed was the order block. So we did have an order block here on the weekly. So whenever the price dropped, you can see it hit the order block. It came down, it touched that well, first of all, I guess I should mention the whole fair value gap thing. So within the fair value gap, within the month, right? So the fair value gap, this is the top of the wick here, right? And this is the bottom of the tail, right? Between these two, right, of this big, of your bullish engulfing candle. So now that we got in the weekly, it pull back and jump into that or that fair value gap for just a moment. And that's what these fair value gaps are known for, or anyway, if you notice them, if you go back and you do a lot of back testing, you'll notice that whenever you do a fair value gap and something jumps back into it, it'll almost, especially if it's looking for higher prices, it'll almost immediately jump back out. So and that's what it did, and it did with vengeance. As you can see, we had 3 weeks and nothing but non-stop action of good Cardano movement. But just before that, we did have a one bearish candle, which I would call the bearish order block. So the bearish order block is the last down candle before your up candles, and as long as the up candle breaks the body and also breaks the wick, you're more than likely to have a bearish order block, meaning that whenever it returns to that level, it's more than likely expected to turn around and go back the other way. As you can see, it did. It went through that level, and it touched the top of the fair value gap, and toward the end of the month, you can see it's coming back up and then switched over, and we started growing again. And this was, of course, all during the horribleness of everything falling. So that was that week. So moves over to this week. You can't tell much of what's going on this week because we have one big wick here. And a little bit of a body here. So let's get into the daily and see what we can't find out. All right, so now we're focused more on what's closer to us, right? Or what's closer to the price that's going on, because we want to know where the price is going. All right, so as you can see on the daily, again, price is all balanced up here. It was all balanced up at the top. It's just not balanced below the fair value gap. So right now, what I did have was a fair value gap here, right? So we have a fair value gap here on the daily. I probably shouldn't have moved that because I think I'm going to get to an hourly where it's actually going to be. But here is where your fair value gaps are. And as you can see, they are above the price that they're at. So whenever price moved down, it moved down rather quickly, and it moved down at a pace to where it left a little bit of a price void in between each of the daily candles. So now if we move on down to the 4-hour, all right, this is where things start getting a little interesting. So down here, you do have a 4-hour order block. As you can see, I know this is just kind of a, just a doji candle, but I think it's part of the the bearish candle here. So I would still consider this part of the order block, even though it's not usually it's the last down candle before the next up candle. But considering it's a doji, I would consider it part of this candle, considering it just didn't move anywhere. So according to that, I would consider that top line right there, the 4-hour order block. Or sorry, yeah, 4-hour order block. So if any behavior were to come back and touch this line, I would expect it to jump the other way. And as you can see, here are the order blocks that I was talking about and where they started. So and as you can see, there's also a fair value gap here. You know what, that's one I don't think I noticed before, or maybe I did notice it and I just didn't say anything about it. But it looks like there was some kind of look at that, it's running right alongside. After this one ran through the bottom, it kept all of these candles up on the bottom side. So these fair value gaps basically act as almost support and resistance, basically. So now we're on the bottom side of this. Again, another push down, and look, right on the bottom side of this, you can see they're riding these these candles are riding these fair value gaps here. So they're riding the bottom of the fair value gaps, but the thing is that they're riding them in a way that I mean, there is a push down here, so you might be prepared for, you know, a little bit pushing further down in Cardano, maybe down to this 4-hour order block, which would be around 1.267 or 2268 or somewhere around there. But if it were to go down through there, there's also another fair value gap just below there. Hold on, it's actually a little bit bigger than what I meant to be. So if it were to punch through that, I would think it would be very, very quickly, and it would hit this fair value gap right here, and then start moving the other direction, unless it's really looking for lower prices. But it doesn't really look like it's trying to look for lower prices, considering we've already had this green candle. There is also another fair value gap, I believe, that I saw somewhere, maybe not. Yes, I did. Okay, so it is this here, but I mean, even though it's already been ran through, it doesn't matter. The algorithm still remembers everything. So the algorithm is still remembering, right, that there is a fair value gap here. So that's what's possibly keeping this afloat here. So it could actually just see a complete reversal going back up the opposite direction as well. So, and keep in mind, the day is May 29th. The time is 8:19 p.m. Central Time. So East Coast, it's about 9:19. So this is, it's going to be interesting to see what forms of this. So if we go out of the 4-hour, go to the 1 hour, and that's where I found, that's actually where I did find that order, or this this right here. So it should have been a little bit bigger, but I guess if the 4-hour block was smaller, I would actually use that 4-hour block since it's a little bit smaller. But that is the fair value gap that I did find way down here. So I just seeing that and seeing this fair value gap, that also, again, in smart money, in smart money theory, in institutionalized money, we cut through candles, right? There, you know, candles don't disrupt anything within the algorithm, because the algorithm will always remember where these numbers are, if it's going to come back to it, things of that nature, right? So if it does somehow get below all of this, this is what you're going to be looking at right here. And this is your bullish order block at the very, oh, come on now, at the very bottom of all of this. And there we go. And doesn't matter. I'm going to try to scrunch it in anyway. Okay, so what I'm looking at right now is all the worst case scenarios possible. Right, so we've dumped into here, and it looks like we've also dumped into here. We've jumped out again. It looks like it's trying to push down. So who knows? It may look like it could possibly be trying to push into this fair value gap instead of actually trying to go the opposite direction and trying to push up here. Now, what I'll also look for up here is to see if there's a reason why it would be going higher. One of those reasons would be, of course, liquidity, since that's one thing it always looks for. Look, what liquidity is where people have their sell stops, their sell limits, buy stops, buy limits, anything like that. Anything that would actually trigger a some kind of activity in the market, and it looks like I do see a flat line of. You see that? You see that? And even though it's not perfect, you do see kind of a flat line of. So you basically what this would represent would be a representation of a resistance area. So if it was to come up here, right, and everybody would have the idea to sell, correct? And it may sell depending on the conditions of what's going on, but it may sell for only a little bit and just to have people thinking it is selling. And then a lot of people are going to be chasing it, and then it would turn around and then go back up, taking all those people out who are thinking that this is a resistance level. So don't get caught up in those things. If you see something like that, and you get close to it and it starts to fall, believe me, a lot of people are chasing it too. And then next thing you know, it could just turn around and fly back up, especially with the fair value gap being in there. It could just push back up and then push out, but then try to push back up out again as well. Just because these fair value gaps are known to push things out, to push the price out of it. So, but again, that could be a recipe for trying to take a lot of people that are in the market out, is what that could be, is if it goes up this way. Because a lot of people could be selling. The push up could take a lot of people out. Everybody then could also be chasing it up, and as soon as they chase it up, boom, the fair value gap pushes it out, and then again it could go back up and just try to get through this fair value gap. So that's what I kind of believe what would happen. Getting up this high again, that's probably going to take a while. I'm just giving you what I think could happen probably within the next couple of days. And so right now, what I'm just worrying or eyeing is to see if it's going to get through this fair value gap right through here. If I can get it to go the correct way. Here we go. So if it can get through this fair value gap here, watch for this 4-hour order block to see if that's going to bounce off, right? And if it does, it's just below the fair value gap here, so it could try to push down. You may see a little struggle, and then who knows, it may be strong enough to where it could push it down through the next fair value gap area into the next order block area there, which is pretty low. It's about 1.5. And the next place I would be looking, if it does get underneath there, would be this level here. So this is your low level liquidity, right, is what this is. So I'm going to draw this out here. Make sure the coordinates are the same. Oh, they're the exact same. I want a different color this, actually. I want to make this a little silverish. And why I think this is an important place to be. or important place to watch is because price could shoot directly underneath it, because right here is where you could have people thinking that this is the ultimate support level, that oh no, nothing's ever going to get below this support level, and people fall for this trap too much, where they put a long in right here, right? I'm going to drag this over here to where it would look like it'd be more in play. They put a long in right here, right, and they put their stop loss close, or very, very close to it, thinking it's not going to get under it, or if it's get under it, it'll be very, very close, and it won't touch my line. Blah 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 blah. And then you got the other side of the people that think, okay, as soon as it gets below it, guess what? It's going to be going, below for a long time. So then you have these type of people who do this, who short it right at that level. And they leave a little bit, just for it, in case it somehow comes back a little bit. They'll leave a little bit on, and then generally what happens is, what you'll see is, you will see, get the path going. Unfortunately, if it breaks through all this, it'll come through here, right? And it may act like it's going to struggle. It may go through here, right? And then trigger those buy stops, or not the buy stops, but the buy limits, come back up a little bit, make everybody thinking the buy limits that they're going to be making money. Stop somewhere around here. Why here? Look over here at this green candle, right? That could be the opposite order block going the other way, right? And then push down into here, right? Taking those people out, and then thinking, then that's going to trigger, well, then it's going to trigger into here, up to here, boom. Then now it's going to trigger your sell stop people, thinking that they're going to be able to continue to make money, that it's just going to keep falling and falling, and then it could hit the top of this fair value gap here, and then turn around and start going back up. So that's what you got to look out for in these kind of situations. But right now, I think the most what we need to watch out for is to see what it's going to do with this fair value gap right here, right? So make sure you have your markings up. If you don't have those, go back and look at the camera, or go back and look through the video. Put your markings where mine are, and I guarantee you, you watch some of this, or you overnight, something like this will happen. So if it doesn't, you can smack me and tell me I'm stupid and I don't know anything else, but I can almost guarantee you one of these things is going to happen. I can't guarantee anything, but I can tell you what's not going to happen, right, is that some kind of funky, well, you don't even really have any trend lines. Everything's above this fair value gap. So of course there's no trend line action. So how can anybody believe that there's a trend line going on? There's no channels, there's no nothing here. The only thing that this would be good for would actually be your harmonics, and even then, those harmonics could trick you easily, especially depending on which way it's going to go. So I'm just saying that if it gets down into a fair value gap, and it doesn't jump out immediately, that is a cause for concern, because that means it usually is going to try to push lower. But you also have we're in between two different fair value gaps, so we could be bouncing in between both of these for some time. Who knows? I don't even know. We could see some we could see some lightning strikes, you know, one going really high up into here and then coming all the way back down to here. I mean, it could be a guessing game. So Cardano is one to watch to see what's going to happen. It's going to be a very tight game. I don't think a lot of money is going to be lost or won through here. It's just going to be a very slow game until something actually produces itself, until something actually gets above here, or until something actually gets below here. So we'll see what happens, but who knows? It could be an all weeker, to be honest. And I really don't care for all weekers. So just if you're an investor, hang tight. Maybe maybe now that it's 1.36, maybe it's low enough for you to load up. For me, it's not. If I'm gonna load, well, geez, it does look like a good time to load up. But for me, none of this is actual financial advice, by the way. This is all just opinions from learned experiences. You should not take financial advice from me. I am just trying to show you charts and chart reading, and that is all. But we shall see what happens, and that's it. My name is Ted, here of Bodies and Wicks. If you didn't know where I got the name from, pretty clever, huh? There's a body and a wick and a candle, huh? I thought that was funny. It's my little dad joke as a name. But anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys shortly. You guys have a good night, and always remember to wear your pants.